Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Does wearing makeup prevent water from reaching the skin during wudu? Does wearing makeup prevent water from reaching the skin during wudu? So the default ruling about wudu is that the water must reach the skin. And the usual way of approaching this question is that if you have a barrier that is non-permeable, right, then the barrier needs to be removed in order for the wudu to be considered valid. Now, as for the permeability of makeup, that is not a shara'i question, that is actually a, let's call it a scientific or a cosmetic question, and the nature of the cosmetic needs to be determined by the cosmetic manufacturer itself. A shara'i position can only be taken based on the nature of the product. So some forms of makeup claim to be permeable, and that means that they don't act as a barrier. In other words, water can reach through them. So some scholars have taken the approach by saying that, look, if makeup doesn't prevent or rather doesn't appear to have a paint-like texture, it doesn't appear to have a plastic-like texture or a rubbery-like texture that clearly prevents the water from the skin, if it's just a light coating of something that seems to absorb into the skin, then some Hanafi scholars would consider that as a barrier that doesn't harm the wudu. The ruling still remains the same regardless of whether it is the Shafi'i school or the Hanafi school, that if it is a permeable sort of substance, for example, the usual type of moisturizer that we would place after coming from a bath or a shower, and you rub some moisturizer on your hands and arms and the like, that type of moisturizer usually doesn't create a barrier from the water reaching the skin. So it is up to the individual to actually ascertain the validity of their wudu by checking the permeability of the cosmetics in question. Added to that, we must also stress that often the use of makeup can be problematic depending on the nature of one's use thereof. So if, for example, makeup is used to hide a flaw, to hide a fault, somebody has some marks or the like, then that would generally be a far lighter ruling. It would generally be permissible to use that because it's not intended to attract attention to oneself. But when a woman in particular uses makeup specifically for beautification and to allow attractive looks to come from her and to have, to attract looks from strange or non-mahram men, then the usage of the makeup is to be considered problematic, at least. And under certain circumstances, of course, it is going to be haram. That doesn't exclude, of course, the fact that there may be permissible situations wherein she can beautify herself and she can utilize the makeup that she so prefers, if it is for her husband, if it is not going to affect her state of ibadah and the like, and she's not going to break any of the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in summary, does makeup actually cause water to be prevented from the skin? That's a question that is going to be determined by each product individually and the manufacturer of that product. And then their claims also needs to be tested. So one needs to check if it indeed is permeable and does allow the water to seep through, or if it does create a barrier, which would be problematic for the validity of one's wudu. Wallahu subhanahu wa ta'ala a'lam.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.